Fresh was pretty confident BDS could do this today. They could get the 7-0 or 7-1 that they need to keep themselves in the running, and well, take Virtus Pro potentially down slightly if G2 can win later. Now, I was so sure of this that I offered him a financial sum as a bet, and he wasn't too big a fan of that. So we changed it, and we're going back to like old school UK like FIFA rules. The way it works is whoever wins the wager, the other person has to apologise at the end of the show to the other person's mum for daring to challenge or take a wager against the other. So I'm pretty sure Fresh has already said to me, if VP get 2 rounds, I will start on my apology to your mum. I've absolutely on broadcast. I heard Medic's just asking. Absolutely on broadcast in the post-show. He knows that her name is Debbie. So that's what he's got to, formally address the camera as and be saying, right, Debbie, I apologise for daring to take such a wager against your son. He clearly has the bigger brain. I cannot wait to hear it. Unless, of course, BDS do pull out a 6-0 half, in which case I am dropping some bricks in my pants. It's not going to be a good time.
In the midst of all this...
There are some bans happening as well, Tim.
In the midst of all this, I think I dropped what may be a fairly reasonable appraisal of this game, which was, I think BDS will win, but I'm not sure it will be by enough. It was what I said somewhere in the middle of you two going at each other.
I think we ignored that comment in the group chat.
Yeah. Over the middle of you.
You know what the best thing is? You've still got a sticker on your face.
See, I knew this would happen. Oh, it's on the nose.
Well, he didn't know. He's got another one.
I didn't nose.
I'm not even going to tell you about the other ones.
I've got it.
You can't see him.
I've got it.
Oh, he's found them all now. I'm so sad. I really should have said nothing and just let the end game come back onto your mug covered in stickers.
Oh, dear me.
Righty, what a game we have got waiting before us. Bans have rifled through. Saw that Nomad ban coming out. I think it's really valuable on this map. I think anyone who's ever played this map and ranked knows that those air jabs going down on things like red stairs, just really valuable for protecting the attackers when they're trying to work their way through the map. So for me, for BDS, that is screaming we want to get mobile, we want to get busy, we want to try and stab VP in the back when they're looking for an execute. And the operator lineup suggests just as much, Tim. We've got Shaiko on the Solus, we've got Alems playing on the Vigil here as well. Even Leakifak on the Wamai can do a bit of work too. So I do expect to see them getting out and busy around the map, knowing they can't be slowly penned in by this Nomad pick.
And I rejoice they have not taken top floor as the primary option. They're going to be heading down to kitchen. Thank you, BDS.
Tim has a serious problem with their top floor, by the way.
Thank you, BDS. Going to be taking us down to...
What's the win rate so far?
I'd have to check, to be fair. I know historically I'm talking over 2 years.
Freshy, go on.
It's never the top
attacker
attacker
round 3,
side.
mate, can you let us know?
It's top defender side. So.
Yeah, let us know after round 3.
It's always a poor defensive, or it has been consistently for 2 years. It's been poor for defenders. Heading down to kitchen then instead, it's going to be Breeder on the Echo. We know we've seen so many iconic Echo moments on this very site. We're seeing the use of the external drone holes as well to feed information. Pasha's going to take a ton of damage there on the book, and that is not an operator you want to be losing when attacking this site.
Thought Alems then for a second was thinking about trying to get out the window to try and go for this peak. They know that he's still there. They can still see him. He's still lurking, but they're just a little bit wary, I think. And so they should be as well, because Shepard is the one waiting and lurking. Doesn't think I know the Alems are still there looking. In fact, he does as the flash follows him through the window. So start of the round, at least 90 seconds in. No one's gone down, but VP have made very slow progress. Only just about now establishing control on the top floor, and they've got 2 more still to work through, Tim.
Joystick just using that angle to try and just pick anybody up in towards reading room or moving through that rotate. But as you say, BDS just not overcommitting here, dropping themselves back to side. It's not unusual. BDS usually fairly restrained on the roam. They will utilise it, but they do tend to have a heavy site focus on at least some of the maps, and they are showing that here. Alems is going to be trying to hold on to VIP, very important area, not just for very important people, Des, but for very important map control of the bottom of White Stairs in particular.
Really good work by BDS so far as well. Just one chewing through a bit of the intel work coming out from Virtus Pro, but really running that clock down, and Virtus Pro just don't have the map control they need, I feel at least, to pull off this play. Sure, they've got some vertical inside a slope, but they got it very, very late, and they don't really have all they need on towards these players. Great nade coming through, will down Renshiro, but he is not out just yet. Leakifak equally put down to about half, so things still looking good for BDS here. Virtus Pro are going to have to flood site late in the round here, which means any kind of chaos could develop.
Yeah, great great pickup for Chaiko to begin with as well, taking Dan down. We've seen, how well he's been playing so far, but Likafak is going to go down as well, leaving us effectively 4 versus 3. But as you say, time's going to be the factor. I don't think VP are watching their backside here, Des, as Alem starts to creep in, but the diffuser's going down. Is it going to be too little too late? Shepard doesn't have the opportunity to stick because Breedy are picked up on him at the beginning on the Echo, just getting all the information that he needs from the cams and then using those stun charges to prevent the plant, and that's going to be BDS taking round 1.
It played out exactly how I'd imagine in the storybook as well. The Nomad ban coming through. We spoke about BDS with that ban wanting to make use of the flanks. And what is it Alems is doing when the plant starts to come through? Oh, he's flanking up white stairs where there are no air jabs to stop him. So I know that Virtus Pro in this case don't have the Nomad to lean on, but this is where things like, dare I even say the gridlock can help, right? It's a lot of tracks to potentially run through. It doesn't stop you as well as an air jab would. It's not as loud, of course, too, though the gunshots do definitely help. Whether it's looking like claymores, whether it's looking like flank drones, they've really got to be careful of these kind of players coming out of BDS, as they will keep on using them. The good news for VP is they've gone through what I probably imagine is going to be the toughest site for them on this map, when they've got to do a full map clear and they've really been stretched. That is where BDS has seen success. For me, the proof in the pudding will come in this site, Reading and Fireplace or Bar and Cocktail, where Virtus Pro have less to clear and therefore can execute with a little bit of more time on side, can be a little more diligent. If BDS can really strike true then fair play.
Here we go then, round 2. We're going to head this time to Reading Room. In fact, leaving top floor completely until the end of the rotation. Potentially, maybe not even using it at all. Maybe BDS will use the other mid-floor site of Mining. VP moving en masse towards the building for the time being, looking to get themselves maybe into the bottom floor. They will find themselves challenged if they do so, though. Likafak, he's down there in Bakery looking if he can cook up a surprise for them. But at the minute, VP, they're not going to be playing into that. They're looking to instead get themselves into the top floor by the looks of things, move across and clear out these BDS defenders from Cocktail.
Sure, it's always a starting point to work through, but again, you've seen these cameras coming out. Sure, it's not quite in the form of the Echo, but the Black Eyes still feeding a lot of info back and forth as required. Virtus Pro have gone towards it as well. They said, right, okay, cameras are a problem, whether it's Yokais, whether it's the Black Eyes coming out as well. It's the IQ on side to help them deal with that. But it's again how much time you're going to spend trying to deal with these. Run out coming in from Likafak here, off onto the rappel, sees one man, but gets shot off towards the side. A great response from Dan to save his teammate.
Has to be finding that kill there. Likafak goes around, has time, does some damage to Pasha, but nowhere near enough. And Dan, this time, able to have a much bigger impact than he did last round. And that is a good start for Virtus Pro there. 5 versus 4 now, coming up to the halfway mark. Still haven't really displaced anybody. That's the problem. They've got a shutdown on a run out, fantastic, but they're not really impacting on the map itself.
Oh god. I mean, Shaiko's really close here, and they've just kind of gone a bit gung-ho, charging halfway down red to get the double claymore stats up, which Shaiko can now identify. The beauty, of course, being is that he's got impacts in back pocket. He can get rid of both of these with a single grenade and then come for the backstab. I touched on it in round 1. Virtus Pro really have to respect these flanks.
They absolutely do, and we've already seen the attempt once. It was, as you say, successful.
Breeder can't
just
get them.
opening up, can't find
the alignment. Oh, that's unlucky.
It's going to make it more difficult now. BDS pretty much are out of top floor. They're going to dip themselves away. Like you say, Breeder just lurking around underneath. Nitro does come out unsuccessfully.
Wrong place as well. I think they knew the Cocktail was in their control, but there was a laser gate in the way that Virtus Pro weren't going to walk through, so they didn't really suggest exactly where the sledge was, but with good vertical control coming through, they've got a little way of getting here outside of storage as well. They've got this vertical control established, and this is my worry. They had more time to be diligent about their setup here. It's still coming down to the last 10-15 seconds for an execute, but it's looking all right for VP.
Yeah, similar problems that we've seen, sort of forever in teams consisting of these players, and time has been a factor. Dan, though, comes in. He might just be your rescuer, Des. He manages to get a triple kill in this round. Shepard's going to be putting that diffuser down, almost certainly going to stick it. They can't move around. Breeder tries to make the challenge, gets 1 but not 2. 1 versus 3 now. Renshiro does have the vertical, but it's too little too late, Des. He's got to get back downstairs. Always is down, so it's a 1 versus 2 effectively, but Dan and Shepard, you'd have to back them to cover this one off.
He has to know that they're outside here as well. Good attempt there, and just hoping someone will be playing at distance, but they are tucked in tight. They're wrapped off towards the side of the door. All the right sort of stuff, so he's going to have to bait out a little bit of a push coming in here. Off towards his right-hand side, you're going to find someone from VP swinging in, and they have the vertical. VP get that one round. They need one more, and BDS cannot make it. And that apology is going to be so sweet.
2 more for you, Des. You did give Fresh the 7-2.
That is a good point. I did give him a bit of breathing.
I've got to be a fair arbitrator in this. You did give Fresh the 7-2, so you still need 2 rounds. But what I will say, if Dan's going to come out and play a few more rounds like he did there, I think you're going to be pretty much safe, because it's going to be very difficult for BDS to be overturning rounds too often. If Dan's going to be coming out, putting 3Ks down, in the first half and making it so difficult for them. It was well played from Virtus Pro overall. They grabbed themselves around there. BDS, they are, as I suggested, not going to go to the top floor, instead moving us across to mining.
All right. I mean, that probably means your 3-site rotation does completely exclude Bar and Cocktail. Tim, I feel like you have finally won the war.
Somebody's listened.
I mean, unless they go to Bar and Cocktail in round 4.
I very much doubt that they've actually listened, but at least we're getting...
It's like,
I guarantee...
This English guy, he's so stupid.
VP have maintained 100% ban rate on Azami despite playing 4 different maps. So just not, as Fresh touched on earlier in map 1, in game 1, sorry. Azami just so powerful, one of the best operators in the game at the minute. Not too much of a surprise.
I think back to like 4 years ago when Demo made a comment to me about Mira. He said, she makes good sites great and makes great sites impenetrable, which was a really fair way of looking at it. And then, Ubisoft kind of had this classification of operators they declared architects, looking at things like Mira, like Azami, like the Castle, ones that really transform how sites are played, or in some cases different areas of the map altogether. Azami is just so potent at the minute because the fact those things are bulletproof, that you've got to burn utility to get through them. You can deploy them anywhere you want, not just on doorways, windows and walls like you can with Mira and Castle. She is obnoxious. She will get nerfed at some point, I'm pretty sure of that. I do not blame them for banning it, but it does show kind of a stickiness to a certain ban that you don't like playing against because you know it can really impede you, than it is so much a target ban against other teams, which means it becomes a predictable ban for those playing into VP who then hopefully have an answer.
I love Azami, to be fair. As you say, maybe needs a little look at some point, but I don't think she's come in and been completely ridiculous. She's just offered an alternative.
Just a little bit obnoxious.
Yeah, at times. But I think, offers a very viable alternative
tell you what,
way of doing things.
When was the last time you saw Zofia?
Not going to catch the man coming across. Always is going to take down Shaiko. LM's finds 1. 4 versus 4 halfway mark. And you're absolutely right, as we really don't see very much Zofia. LMG meta was the last time we saw her.
Great little 2v1 though coming out from BDS there onto Pasha, who was all alone on stage, and clearly the audience didn't like what he was coming out with as he was bottled off there pretty quick. 4v3 for BDS, looking like they're firmly in control in this round, Tim. Yeah,
certainly looking better for them. I think, within the first 3 rounds... All 3
speeds, by the way, that are left alive.
We'll hear from Fresh at the end of this. I'll be interested for his input. I think, ultimately for me, BDS are looking like the better team at the minute. I don't think it's as clear-cut as them getting a 7-0 or 7-1, but I think they're looking pretty good for what they've achieved so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Still more to come as well, I'm sure. They have kind of warned things maybe a little bit late. So 1 more round and that's it. Their hope is over. For now, though, Dan has been getting real busy with these 2 Bravas, by the way. I think he hacked 3 cams with the first one. This one here, we've just seen get a 4th as well, as he continues to move on through, and now has the Yokais to make use of, Tim. He can get busy around this as well, which is going to be really annoying for BDS to deal with.
He is, and look at that. What a beautiful example we've got of the use of Brava. Absolutely. The only way that could have been more poetic would have been if it was the Echo that died.
Oh, wouldn't it just? But still, again, a wonderful showcase that I'm sure we'll see up on Twitter at some point soon as well. Great work by Dan again. Hacked an awful lot with those 2 drones in this round, given a lot of space by BDS, but spent too much time, arguably, on those 4 drones that she has. As now they've got to make a push happen. They're down to just 2 left standing. It doesn't matter what you hack. You can't hack your way to a round win. Always making it 4, but they're not going to have enough time. They don't have the diffuser, and BDS will hold on.
Virtus Pro, time is the issue at the moment. It really is the major factor for this team. And I think it might just be time to hear from our resident expert, Fresh.
And that's exactly the point that I was going to bring up here on the Professor segment. It's very clear to see what BDS's game plan is. it is absolutely pick the bottom floor sites, pick the middle floor sites, because they know Virtus Pro 100% of the time are going to be going for the full clears. So they're picking the sites based on that. They are also picking Maestro and Echo and a lot of late round denial based off the back of that. I thought it was a very curious play just then from Dan to play the Brava. I thought that was actually genius from him. That's why he's the #1 rated player in the league, to actually try and disable their Maestro cams, to try and disable the Echo cameras. I think BDS are in control of this. However, it all comes down for when they get back on that reading site for me as to whether they'll get the 6-1/2 or a 5-1/2, a 5-1/2 or a 4-2/2.
Bit hopeful on that bet there, I think, so
Yeah.
Fresh. Thank you very much. Yes, again, we've all touched on it at this point as well. It is about how much of the map needs to go through, and here is another little stat from the Professor himself, dropping some nugget bombs in the server. Alems is playing Vigil. This is the first time Vigil has been played in the European League.
I was wrong one.
The thing is with Vigil, there's sort of two schools of thought, really. There's two ways of looking at Vigil. He's a selfish operator. He doesn't bring anything to the team effectively, and I mean that in terms of...
Speak for yourself, Tim Jensen. Me play Vigil.
Well, in terms of...
I bring the kills.
The thing is, you touch perfectly on what I'm saying there, though. The only thing he contributes, and it sounds like a big only, is the kills. He has to go out to be really useful. He has to burn time because he has to be droned over and over, and he has to find kills. So, you know... Aside from that, it's no surprise to me that we don't see him picked up by a lot of teams because he's not util heavy.
I love, again, you heard Fresh talking about it a moment ago, all these late round denials, the way of slowing things down. Bride on the Goyo was the big slowdown in this round, but you've just seen the shock drone from Shepard get inside a site and take out 3 of those Vulcan canisters. There is one left and it's in back pocket. Maybe there's a lesson there about holding on for at least a little bit longer and deploying them later into the round whilst you've got Virtus Pro still trying to find their feet. Here goes the last one, put back down where the other one was previously, and there's a shot drone there ready to take it out and burn out Bride's life down to about 70.
Joystick rolling back the years there at the top of Red Stairs, able to delete Leak Effect from round 4, and he is struggling at the minute. To say we had him on the head-to-head at the beginning of this versus Dan. He was the one that BDS were potentially looking towards to make that challenge. 0-4, it's been a tough start for him so far. Just sort of, I feel like VP have been ahead of his game plan here on Cafe. They've sort of almost been a little bit ahead of the curve, knew what he was going to do. They've been one step ahead of him, and Leak Effect maybe just needs to change things up a little bit as things go. Halfway through the round, though, that floor is going to start getting opened up. Things looking good so far. Nitro could come out from Bride. Just going to miss his opportunity as Pasha moves away.
They're very much a slow-moving juggernaut, Virtus Pro. If you come into a head-to-head gunfight with them, there's a fair chance they'll win that gunfight. As we've seen, 3K coming out of Always, 3K coming out of Dan. The two of them have really put on numbers already, and you can see others starting to warm into the game a little bit more as well. So really, you've got to capitalise on whilst they are this slow-moving juggernaut that can win gunfights. Best thing you can do is make those gunfights as urgent and as panicked as possible, which is why they keep on wasting time here with gadgets, with forcing them to go for full map clears. It does all come together in a very sensible game strategy. But in trying to take those early gunfights, they've paid the price so far, and a great C4 coming out again to avoid one of those gunfights.
How about that for patience from Bride? He's just had that Nitro in hand for about a minute, waiting for that opportunity, just waiting until he could gauge that he had enough information on where the player was, and he does it beautifully. Renshiro somehow survives the first part of the onslaught, but not the second, as Joystick drops in, manages to find one, but the retake is on from the top floor, and that is going to be Shako managing to get himself a double, a triple in the round, and that leaves us with 8 seconds left to go. Joystick, he doesn't have anything going for him. Time diffuser, absolutely nothing at this point.
And once again, they'll lose to the clock. It's the second round that's gone against VP because of the clock. And again, it's kind of crazy how we're seeing literally the same thing every single round. Once again, there's been a flank in the late round out of BDS that VP did not expect. They had no flank drones on the go. You can thank Solus for that. Just all these things working together against them round after round, but we aren't seeing that adaptation really out of Virtus Pro yet. What I'll give them is Fresh also acknowledged, you know, the Bravo was valuable, the Twitch in that round was valuable. It's all good getting rid of this utility that will be there at the end of the round, but if you're not getting to the end of the round, it's a problem. We've got to see them adapt to you in the same way they did against G2 when we had Benja constantly getting kills from below with C4s. They started sending players downstairs on Villa to hunt him down. I haven't yet seen any big change from Virtus Pro here to say, right, direct to site, we're all pushing in through this doorway, we're going hard and fast. They still keep on taking things slow. Got to see a change.
I think, I sort of back what I said at the beginning of the game here. I think BDS are in a clear winning position here. Virtus.pro are really going to have to show us something special to overturn this, but do I think BDS can do it without another mistake to get that 7-1 that they really need? I'm not convinced. I think there is still around here. Virtus.pro, they've got Joystick playing well, Dan's playing pretty well. I think there's going to be an opportunity there where one of them comes in with a big 2k, 3k that just opens the round up and maybe Virtus.pro snag another. Whether they can get any more and save your skin or not, Des, I don't know. That much I'm not too confident about. We'll see as we progress. But round 5, here we go. 20 seconds in. We've not really had any early aggression in these rounds, and again, it plays back into what Fresh was saying. BDS aren't really too interested, I don't think, in early 5-10 seconds, spawn peaks, getting involved. What they want to do, they don't want to give away a life. They don't want to, waste that opportunity. They want somebody alive in the map that needs to be chased down. Basically, force Virtus.pro to do everything.
And they are currently trying to do just that. Once again, restricting them out with the Solus of Shaiko. You've also got the Mute, you've got the Vigil, you've got the Mozzie. Just a real heavy intel denial round here coming out from BDS, which I think makes a lot of sense. Just look to slow down the Russian side as best we can. Here we are, 60 seconds in, though. No one yet inside the building, still waiting for their chance to do that. And I say that, Joystick drops almost perfectly on the minute and is now in looking for his kills.
Looking to challenge the man over there in Cocktail. Going to take out the default camera as well, being backed up by Pasha. We heard the E1D scan, but it wasn't enough. There's the Vigil. Of course, Vigil is immune from those E1D scans. It is one of the rarer counters that we see active, but Leakafak has just taken full advantage of it.
It's one of those where you look at Joystick for a second and think the cam's coming out as your guys just died in front of you. What's going down? Maybe locked into the animation there and really got punished hard for it. But once again, a round has been undone by a little bit of spontaneous aggression coming out of BDS. We've seen it on flanks in a couple of rounds. This round is directly into their face and it works out.
BDS now are in the position they want to be in. They can just sit back. They can sit back and wait.
Exactly that.
This is a strategy that NIP played well for a lot of years, leading up to the Invitational win and everything else.
But how do you win against that?
You can't, is the honest answer.
The slow-moving juggernaut is here again.
But the point is that it's 2 minutes 10 into the round. That's the key, that they're not taking those engagements too soon. And they're going to frustrate Dan on time. They're going to frustrate Virtus.pro on time once again because they're going to end up rushing. Because BDS, as I said, similar to, we've seen top teams like NIP do it as well. They'll go in, get that win in the first minute, sit back for the second minute, and then play again in the third minute. And that's what BDS are doing beautifully at the minute.
And there's Renshi as well being caught by Dan as he works his way down White Stairs. They've got a little bit of a side swipe on the go here as well. But again, the slow-moving Juggernaut has caught up, but it's on a timer, Tim. It's got 15 seconds to make this work, and Leakyfat's looking for a bit of a backstab as Dan gets put in the dirt by Shaiko. Always almost going out from below. We'll find the vertical, down to a 2 versus 2, but there is simply not enough time, Tim. Shepard's going to try and make a plant work, but we all know that he's done for here as well. Spray through the wall, even when Leakyfat going down, always can do nothing. That is the third round this half that Virtus.pro have lost to the clock.
It certainly is. At this point, if you Virtus.pro, you've got to be thinking, get me onto the defence where the clock can work for me at least, because right now it's a nightmare. Like you say, so many of these rounds coming down to that sand running its way through the hourglass and then being unable to have the job done by the time it's all gone. And it's a big, big problem for them. BDS 4-1 up at the minute, and they just need to keep going in this direction. 7-1 will be good enough for them, but there is still 3 big rounds to come, including that side switch. And I think for me, that's where the big question is going to come. Put BDS on attack, let Virtus.pro play their game a little bit, get out into the map, choose where those gunfights happen, and maybe that's where the slip-up could come for BDS.
Definitely. I think if you win the 5-1 here, you actually really back yourself to give it a go for a good couple of rounds. Again, the difficulty being that Virtus.pro have the full selection of all 4 sites to make this work, and 1 round is all they'll need to pull this off. But I'm looking at this round here and thinking for Virtus.pro, if you're going to do it anywhere, it's going to be on this site, at least on your attacking side. Kind of surprised there was no tactical timeout here as well. I really feel like you're confident and you back yourself to defend on Cafe, to not use it on the attacking side when you are still looking for those crucial 1, 2, maybe 3 rounds. That is the best time to make use of it.
VP approaching the building with speed, with pace. Need to get themselves in quickly. Time has been the issue. We can't keep saying it. We can't say it any different way. You know, that has been the deciding factor for so many rounds here. BDS just able to frustrate them, playing brilliantly into the VP play style and taking advantage of that weakness. Joystick going to be sending in the Gemini decoy for the time being. This round, I would like to see nothing more. Even if Virtus Pro lose it, at least lose it quickly. Go in there and try to... You know what I mean? Go in there.
Lose it, just rip the plaster off and lose.
Well, I don't mean it that. I mean, at least do it trying to avoid that time issue. At least do it trying to move more quickly through the round.
The Bravo went running in then as well, down trying to sniff out whatever he could, and nothing quite to be found, but the Juggernaut once again has caught up here pretty quick inside 60 seconds. It's Pasha moving his way down red. Joystick was the one set upstairs, and where BDS have tried to slow them down, well, Tim, they aren't giving up. They're doubling down here. They're sending 2 more players upstairs to try and go for this fight, aware that they will lose a 5v3 on the site, so they want to force fights off-site instead.
It's a good idea, and I think it's one that could work if Virtus Pro don't pick up on what is happening, but they've still got 4 drones alive. The information should be there for them, and yes, as you say, BDS are going to be forced back onto site. Now, Virtus Pro, this is your moment. This is the point where you need to push forward. You can't leave too much time to build up this execute. That's where the problem has come. We hear a Nitro detonate. It doesn't find its mark. It doesn't have any joy. Virtus Pro have got everything they need, Des. Joystick manages to take down Elems. This is not looking good for BDS.
They found one. Bride knows that he's being watched. He's got to hit a pixel-perfect shot if he wants to bring down Joystick. It turns out it's his turn, potentially, to look for a 3K in this round and give his team 3 across the entire half. Still holding down on side of sight, just waiting for the push to come through. But really, BDS have got to try and isolate these 1v1s. But that really is exactly what you don't want to be doing against Virtus Pro, given how good and proficient they've been so far today in these gunfights themselves. 30 seconds still to play, Tim.
Virtus Pro, you cannot allow time to be the decider in this round. You have had everything you need to get this one done and over the line. They are going to start looking at moving into sight very, very soon. Shepard is indeed inside of mining now. He's going to be putting that diffuser down, but how about that for an angle? Shepard, he's going to start again. Bride with his second. It's a 2v2. Leakerfight moves in. He gets the kill, and BDS somehow overturn a 2v4. Des, what a round from the French side.
How have they let that happen, Tim? How have they let that happen?
I'm not sure BDS even know how they pulled that off.
You know, what's brilliant, we've been, a message fresh in the middle of the team message and say, you know what, regardless of outcome, I'm just really glad to see a team that's been able to play against the very obvious weakness that Virtus Pro have got. Here he is, Freshie. What do you think?
I thought, wow. I thought BDS executed basically the perfect game plan there. Came down to a couple of close moments, but like you say, they actually played against Virtus Pro the way that you're supposed to, with discipline. Play the time as your friend. Don't play any split theory where you've got 2 or 3 people off site and 2 on site, all off site or all on site. That is the win condition. Now, this is the really tricky part. They've got to attack Cafe. Now, the way VP defend, usually on most maps, is it's very condensed in and around site. Makes site itself very penetrable. Is to find the gaps, find the space. I imagine particularly on this top floor site, it will be underneath. Look for those nade kills and then execute from there.
I think production had enough of him then for a second. They muted him. I couldn't hear him.
Could never have enough.
But I heard everything he said because he's in the same room with us. And he is very, very right. Yeah, I think static is kind of the way you describe Virtus Pro sometimes, and here's a nice little stat for you as well. The longest standing roster in Europe, even though they only picked up League back September 12th.
It shows the number of changes that we've gone through in Europe in the last few months.
Every team, right? Yeah. I mean, I think even before that, they were one of the longest serving rosters.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Things were as they were.
Very consistent.
Yeah, back when they had Rafale on side, I think it was a good 18 months,
SSG.
2 years. Yep. Was a good old long time, and clearly eventually realised we need a little bit of
NRP had
dynamism.
the same roster for a long time as well.
They did.
They did a long time with the same 5.
They sure did. Right, let's see if it can be done. BDS are fighting for that spot in third, still have a chance to go through to our playoffs to fight for the major auto qualification without having to go through those vile qualifiers that can be so difficult to fight through. Teams who are eyeing you up and just saying, this is a piranha pit and you're that juicy piece of meat that we want to have taken out. So this is all for BDS to avoid that and to really condemn Heroic to a same fate.
This is going to be praying for another couple of rounds here, because otherwise the post-show will be one to watch, as a formal apology will need to be issued to our resident professor, who I can tell you now...
And his mum, Donna.
I can tell you now, Des will hate that.
Oh,
so
I'll play up for it.
Definitely stick around. We'll see what happens as we've got Virtus Pro now on the defence. BDS need to get themselves established inside of the map. Still haven't done that as of yet. Being challenged right up at the point of entry. Always is sticking around in pixel spot. Pasha gets himself a good nitro, and what a good target to find. Takes down Shaiko, and that's going to be the first kill of the round.
They're out of utility. They've got nothing left to really push him away here. Goes to the cross and gets away with it too. There's no impacts on Zofia. There's no frags left to go through. They tossed 3 of their flashes all at once onto Pixel to burn through the ADSs and the magnets, and it worked, but could not get the follow-up. So I feel like Virtus Pro have done enough here. They've managed to hold on. They've held on to key locations. We're down towards the last 60. BDS have got to make this work as 4.
Yeah, this is it. It felt like they'd stalled a little bit there. They knew what they had to do. It was almost like they didn't want to do it. Like you say, the utility's gone. We're just going to have to push in here and take gunfights. But as they start doing it, the confidence will build as Renshiro manages to find Dan, and the great rounds from BDS may well just continue here. Lebs misses his opportunity. Does he know? He manages to get the down. Does he manage to find another? Always does pick up Leakerfack. Joystick is
But he's offside.
Down.
He's offside.
Renshiro, it's 3v2.
Offside. How on earth have they got away with it again? Down to a 3v1, and Always has got to fight his way back through this, but they know exactly where it's coming from. They're posted and waiting. There's something in back pocket as well. As the wee-woos rather than the impacts, he can't do anything about it. Gets shut down, and BDS have just snatched that one away. They are a single round away, Tim, from getting themselves into playoffs.
Whew. Coming in, I said I expected the BDS win. I didn't know if they would clear top of the group Virtus Pro by quite enough to snag that position that they wanted. They have gone from 3-1 without a mistake to 6-1. They need just one more round. I wouldn't have thought I'd be describing BDS after winning in Jönköping as having a Cinderella story in stage 1. However, that is the position we are potentially facing for the French side. But boy, are they doing it with some style today.
This could be absolute heartbreak if they don't pull it off here. They've battled so well. Their defenses orchestrated perfectly, really starving the clock away from Virtus Pro. And that attack there, a great read. A man's outside sight, one's down. Right, go, go, go. It's 3v1 against the last man left standing. I think it was Shepard on the Frost. It was around Lumber. Everything has been played to perfection, but it all counts for nothing if they can't win this kitchen attack.
Whew, here we go then, Virtus Pro. They've got one of the strongest sites on the map to hold down. They have every opportunity to spoil the party for BDS. Virtus Pro, of course, fighting for top spot as well, Des. You know, let's not forget the stakes on the other side of this matchup.
Don't forget you get a bye from tomorrow.
Get a bye.
Yeah, tomorrow.
You know, it is potentially a big opportunity. So G2, they're going to be looking on at this and licking their lips, you know, thinking BDS have maybe done them a bit of a favour here, because not only will Virtus Pro not pick up any points at this rate, but their round differential is going to take an absolute smashing.
Obviously worth stressing for those who don't know, tomorrow, well, at the end of today, group stage is done. Tomorrow we go into our playoffs where we have 2 best of 3s. The losers, they have to go down and play in the qualifiers. The winners go through to the next day to play against the top team from either group. The winners of that are guaranteed to go through to phase 2 of the major, which is the second week. They haven't got a battle in through the first week. So it does mean an awful lot for BDS to get this. Of course, if Virtus Pro lose, they're on 7 points. BDS are on 3. Virtus Pro still stay in the top 3, but they will potentially lose out on that top spot and get the bye through the first round of playoffs that begin tomorrow. That's how much is on the line here. It means an awful lot.
Lems is going to be working on that top floor clearance. Things are going pretty well so far. 1 minute 45 still left on the clock, so plenty of time. Renshiro opportunity now to start opening things up. Will do so.
Perfect
so
timing.
The pressure is going to start mounting inside of sight. BDS are a little bit ahead of the game here, and they have got plenty to work with.
They have. Again, the minute 30 is kind of that benchmark for me. If the hammer starts swinging around that mark, a team's got enough time to really set up a good execute. And I feel like they'll have the same here. I think for a second there, Shepard was like, oh, well, they know where the Echo drone is. I've got to get out of here, get out of dodge, reposition it, or a nade's coming through. Would have been a good read, but even Renshiro has been informed, no, they've moved it away. Don't bother wasting a drone.
Breeder just going to be relocating his drone inside of sight, see exactly what's going on. They're looking for the space, they're looking for the opportunity. They are going to have to clear Dan out though, because if it's going to be a freezer drop, a freezer take, it's going to be very difficult for them with him still in position in VIP. He's got cover onto Brownstairs. Virtus.pro don't look bad here in terms of position, at least.
I mean, you said there's two players. I don't know why they're sat there, because one's the Echo and you want it to be on the Yokais, but they've got two set out far west when BDS have looked everything for the most part out towards the east. But here comes a potential backstab where you've got Leaky Fat looking to push in towards Bakery side, bring down two. If he gets rid of the Echo, that could very well be round over.
Could be 25 seconds left to go. BDS are going to have to get moving. Breeder gets in, starts taking some damage, but he's got an opportunity to plant. Here comes Shepard though, just waiting for his moment, is able to find the denial. 15 seconds left to go. Kills start coming. Shaiko, he's just walking through sight. Pasha manages to find a Lems. Breeder is having to try again. 4 versus 3. He needs to stick this. There's 4 versus 2. 4 versus 1. BDS have just lost their opportunity as Virtus.pro are able to snag themselves around and keep themselves in the fight on Cafe.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking. They did it all right. The plant was going down. They had the Yokais covered. Iana had control of Red Corridor. Everything looked to be going BDS's way, but Virtus.pro just pull it back in the dying seconds. In a way, it's kind of sweet karma, because BDS had a couple of rounds back in the first half they snagged in the last 10 seconds. But that is, even I'm gutted. I was ready for that apology later as well. I'm gutted.
Don't worry,
I can still do it.
You might still be making it.
Yeah, I feel like no one wins though if it ends at 7-2.
I feel like Fresh wins. The thing is, the problem for BDS, I came into that round, I said it at the beginning, they've now got that. Kitchen was like the final boss. It was like, it's pretty much one of the, if not the strongest site on the map. It's always difficult to try and play into. Virtus.pro, I thought, set themselves up pretty well. You know, they had the bar control, they had the VIP control, they had the Echo to play with. You know, they had everything there at their disposal to mean that BDS had to really focus on that plan, because whilst we're planting, we've got to try and find the Yokai drones. We've got to try, and we've effectively got to take our eye off the ball. We've got to take our eye off the fights, and that's what Virtus.pro took advantage of. They just came back in and won those fights, and all of a sudden it's 4v2, 4v1, and it really is unfortunate for BDS. You feel for them, but how are they going to respond now when they know that it's done?
What I will give, at the very least, is, you know, BDS were taking all the right steps to deal with the Yokais as well. The drones going in to find them, the nades that were following. It was good diligence by Shepard to move them away and not just think, oh, whatever, it's a drone, who cares? Because he knew what would follow. Yeah, either a player going for the kill or a nade. Just overall smart stuff. Now, to give it to BDS in this round, we've got Yokais on Yokais. We've got the Capital, we've got the Ying, we've got the Candelas coming in out of everywhere.
Ooh.
This is 2 players potentially getting full white flashed here as well. C4 maybe over the top. Nope, the Candelas are all going to come out with no response, but sure enough, that's exactly what they wanted, because C4s have been burnt, and in the chaos, Shaiko comes in on the backside, gets traded out, and Lems into another as well. It might be a little bit bittersweet, but they can still get a win here as they're up to 4-2, and they should be able to close things out, Tim.
It looks like they might just win by an absolutely torturous margin here. There's the one margin. You know, one round too far away from what they needed. You know, let's not forget Heroic in all of this. They, of course, will secure 3rd place with that result, but BDS, so unfortunate. A great win, 7-2, a good performance against Virtus.pro, but just not enough. It goes to show how big an ask 7-0 or 7-1 really can be.
The real beauty is in moving up to 6 points. I think it's pretty fair to say, given we've got